Hi, Jen Greenberg here. So today is law number 6, the law of environment from John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So, let's see. The law of environment says growth thrives in conducive surroundings. The first step towards success is taken when you refuse to be captive of the environment you first find yourself in. So right off the bat, I knew that this chapter was going to be a really good one because I love that quote, and that exact philosophy is what got me to where I am right now. So anyways, I apologize in advance because I liked this chapter so much. There was a lot of little things that I marked that I wanted to mention, so this one might be a long video. We'll see. So he starts off in this chapter talking about how he grew too quickly in the career that he was in. He was like a pastor at a church that was like a big deal church in his area, and he pretty much rose to the top to be like the senior pastor right away. And instead of accepting the job, he kind of took a moment of reflection and decided that this environment wasn't challenging enough for him, and he wasn't learning or growing. He was just kind of there. So anyways, change depends on your choices. It's possible to change without growing, but it's impossible to grow without changing. That can mean changing spouses too, you know. I was kidding. I was talking to my husband who's recording me. So anyways, one of the keys to making the right changes that allows us to grow is knowing the difference between a problem or a fact of life. So sometimes you have things in your environment that are not things that you can change, like your family, your physical appearance, things like that. But then there's other things like problems or obstacles that you can change by your environment. So knowing the difference between those two things is a big deal, because sometimes people spend a lot of time and energy on something that is not in their control to change. So, what else? Okay, then he goes on to talk about change yourself in your environment, and he talks about my growth environment. So this is something that he actually wrote out, and it was something that he made to help guide his decision making regarding personal growth. So it says, others are ahead of, or this is what his, what a good growth environment would be like. Others are ahead of me. I am continually challenged. My focus is forward. The atmosphere is affirming. I am often out of my comfort zone. I wake up excited. Failure is not my enemy. Others are growing. People desire change. Growth is modeled and expected. So, if you read that list and you sense that most of these statements did not apply to your life, then you need to do the same thing. You need to change your environment. So, what else? Okay, so then in another section, he talks about change who you spend your time with. And I know I've seen a ton of quotes and pictures on Instagram and stuff about how the people that you surround yourself with, the company that you surround yourself with, is going to be a big influence on where you're going, you know, with your future, your attitude, those kind of things. So, according to research by social psychologist Dr. David McClelland of Harvard, the people with whom you habitually associate are called your reference group, and these people determine as much as 95% of your success or failure in life. Like 95% is a huge number, don't you think? I know a lot of the people that I work with in my challenge groups and such, and some of my coaches, sometimes when they're kind of having trouble with negativity and just feeling down, I ask them this question, like, who are you hanging out with? Who are the people that you're letting into your life? And sometimes it's hard to make a change and remove those people out of your environment, but you have to do it sometimes because they're the ones that are influencing you. And then according to this guy, 95% of your success or failure rate. So good advice there. All right, we become the combined average of the 5 people we hang around the most. So if you actually really think about those 5 people, who are they? Is it people that you're working with? Is it your family? Is it your friends? And what kind of path are they on? Because chances are you're going to be on a similar path. So if you're okay with that, then keep on keeping on. And if not, then you need to find some people that are on a path that you want to be on. So the rest of this section talks about, getting some friends and some mentors that are in the same field that you want to be in and that are ahead of you in the direction that you want to go in. So he says, what kind of larger people should we spend our time with? And he doesn't mean size. He means larger, whatever. So people with integrity, people who are positive, people who are ahead of us professionally, people who lift us up instead of knocking us down, people who take the high road, never the low, and above all, people who are growing. They should be like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau, whose question for each other whenever they met was, what have you learned since we last met? And I love that question, and it's actually going to be something I start implementing with my coaches. We do like weekly accountability calls and such, and I'm going to start asking them that every time that we chat, just so that I can keep them accountable on their personal growth journeys. So what else? I also marked this down. The most significant factor in any person's environment is the people. If you change nothing else in your life for the better than that, you will have increased your chances of success tenfold. So think long and hard about who you're spending the most time with, for wherever they are headed, so are you. So that just kind of wraps up that one thing I was just talking about with who you're spending your time with. Alright, so moving forward despite criticism. We all have haters. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us have haters. And sometimes when you're making a change in your life, that's when most of your haters are going to come crawling out, because they see that you're doing something, and hopefully it's something positive, and you're doing something that they think is too hard or out of their reach or out of their grasp. So instead of joining you, they're going to just criticize you and make you feel dumb and stupid for making the choices that you're making. But the trick is that you need to consider haters a good thing, because that means that you're going in the right path, and you need to keep on moving forward regardless of their criticisms. So if you don't try to create the future you want, you must endure the future that you get. So if you let those criticisms in and you let them take over the path instead of going where you want to be, then you're just going to need to settle for that path that you're on instead of the changes you were trying to make. So let's see. I guess that was pretty much it. Just to kind of wrap up, never forget the law of environment. Growth thrives in conducive settings. If you are in a positive growth environment, be grateful, because not all of us have that. A lot of us need to leave. It could be leaving town, it could be leaving a job, it could be leaving a relationship, whatever it is. And that's hard to do, but it'll pay off in the end. So, at the end of the chapter, they talk about applying the law of environment to your life, and he asks you to assess your current environment when it comes to growth. And he goes back to that growth plan the growth statement from the beginning of the chapter, where he says, others are ahead of me, I'm challenged, all of those things. He asks you to go down that list and say true or false if your environment is like that. And then he also talks about assessing your personal growth needs. So that is that for the environment chapter. Tune in for the next one, law number 7, the law of design. to maximize growth, develop strategies. So thank you so much for following me on my journey with John Maxwell's book, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say about this. Comment below, and also make sure that you are subscribing to my YouTube channel and following me on Instagram at instagram.com/JenGreenberg and Facebook at facebook.com/bbcoachjen. See you next time. Bye.